Morning. I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to your Friday, end of the week, are getting closer obviously to Christmas. Can't believe it's already the end of the year, and no doubt everybody else is saying the same thing. But definitely wanting to chat today about relationships, and one of the reasons why I wanted to speak about this is coming up to Christmas, so many people can have a lot of internal stuff about catching up with family or catching up with particular family members and things like that as well, and it can really make this time of the year much more challenging than perhaps what we'd like it, but not only that, it really Christmas is a time to really come back into our heart. Hey Erin, great to have you on. Come back into our heart and to feel that sense of love again as well. And if you've had a really challenging year, hey Jerry, great to have you on here. Say good morning if you're on and send me some love. It's always awesome to get love on a Friday. But look, with challenges in relationships, obviously there's a plethora of different things that can come up. Hey Chris, great to have you on. There's so many different things that can come up, and like I said, Christmas can certainly be a time where these are triggered the most, and particularly, like I said, if it has been a challenging year, if you've lost a loved one during the year, that can be very, very difficult if this is your first Christmas. Hey Teresa, great to have you on. Hey Sandra. The other things that can be really difficult, if there's been a relationship breakdown, if there's been any of those things, and I know for me, hey Dee, hey Chris, great to have you guys on. I know for me, like my first Christmas after my marriage broke down, and the first Christmas after my mum passed away were particularly challenging, and there's the juggling of the kids and all of that. And if anybody's had that situation in their house, I know exactly what I'm talking about, because suddenly you're faced with either being by yourself on Christmas morning or not waking up with your family that you would have normally had there. So there's like so many different triggers obviously at this time of the year, and I really want to be conscious of that and give you guys some tips or some tools as to how you might be able to navigate your way through that as well. I guess the type of challenge that I'm more so speaking about, all of those are obviously challenges that we can face at Christmas, but the biggest challenges is when we're actually triggered by what's going on with family stuff. If there's a particular family member that either we don't get along with, or that we've had challenges with in the past, or we've felt judged around, or all of those I guess deeper insecurities can kind of surface as well, where we might feel like we can function quite well and be like our normal self outside of family, but sometimes when we get put back in those family situations, it might be, oh, I feel like the little girl again, or I feel like I'm not good enough, or I feel like I'm compared to others, or I feel like I'm the black sheep, or any of those things. So number one, if you are triggered by anyone or anything outside of yourself, it is always to do with what's going on internally. So that is absolutely my first key. When we get into situations where we're blaming others, or we're angry at others, or we're upset at others, it's really coming back and looking within, what is it in me that's actually attracted this experience? What do I believe to be true? Where am I critical of myself? Where have I not been loving myself? Where am I not accepting myself? The other thing that can definitely come up, and it's, we need to sit with that, we need to figure out what that actually is, and then undo some of those limiting beliefs, or undo, and sometimes those beliefs can have been there since like a young child as well. So some of these are quite deep rooted, and can be, like I said, quite challenging to kind of like pull out and let go of. One of the ways that I do that is with the Byron Katie work. So if you're a client of mine, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're not, there's several questions that you can ask yourself, and it's, can I absolutely know that this is true? Hey Yvonne, great to have you on. Can I absolutely know that this is true? And a lot of the time, it's kind of like, know it's true. Second question is, how do I feel when I believe that thought? Now this is going to take you quite deep, quite quickly emotionally. I know whenever I do this work, quite often I cry, so you may want to have the tissues on hand, simply because it gets to the heart of the matter so fast. And it's like, how do I feel? I feel like rubbish, or I feel terrible, or I feel abandoned, or I feel deserted, or I feel unloved. I promise it gets better. Hey Dave, great to have you on. All of those things where it's like we get so deep in our emotions as well. So, you know, how do I feel when I believe that thought? Another question that I like to ask is, how do I feel about myself when I believe that thought? Oh, I feel like I'm undervalued, or I feel like I'm not appreciated, or I feel worthless, or I feel like we've all got those. We're all so human, and we all have that human ego survival mind that wants to be accepted, that wants to fit in, that wants to be enough, that all of that stuff, but it's actually not the real you. Hey Lisa, great to have you on, babe. So the more that we actually do this work, you know, how do I feel when I believe that thought? Take yourself as deep as you possibly can. The mind will want to escape this. It will not be comfortable, but I promise you it is so worth doing this, because the deeper that you go with this, it's almost like picking a coal up from the fire. You know, when do we let go of the coal? And the coal obviously would represent the old belief, or the limiting belief, or the painful belief. We let go of the coal when we realize that it's burning us. So the deeper that you go with realizing how much pain that this actual thought is actually causing you, then we're much more inclined to actually let go of that coal, let go of that belief, let go of that thought. And then the next question is, how do I feel? Hey Melissa, great to have you on. The next question is, how do I feel without that thought? And it's like, it's almost like in that moment, like letting go of that thought. And if it's hard to let go of that thought, which it can be if it's been an ongoing belief that you've had for a long time, sometimes it can be hard to imagine, well, how would I actually feel without that? And so what I get people to do is, like, can you think of somebody else that maybe if they didn't have that thought, how would they feel? So that might be an easier way of getting there for yourself. Sometimes it's like, if you didn't have that thought, you didn't believe that thought, or that thought just doesn't exist or didn't exist, how would you actually feel? And it's like, oh my God, I'd feel like this sense of relief, or I'd feel okay, or I'd feel acceptable, or I'd feel lovable, or I'd feel that I was worthy, or like I'd feel free, or I'd just feel like this, this sense of happiness or carefree, or I could just be me. So this is such powerful, powerful, powerful work. Out of everything that I've done, this is one of my favorite tools, simply because it is so life-changing. Now, where this becomes even more valuable with relationships is, I truly believe that anything that we're triggered by outside of ourselves, so anything that we dislike in others, anything that we're triggered by in others, anything that frustrates us about others, sometimes, like, I know that I had the belief for a long time, you know, they should love and accept me, or I need their approval, or I need their respect, or I need their gratitude. Like, I had all these rules, which is like so normal and so human, but what it does is it places expectations on others, and then when we're actually giving, we're giving from that place of, well, I've done this for you, so you should give this back to me, and we're not actually giving freely, because it's still tied in with our self-worth, or it's still tied into, you know, wanting something back, and it taints the energy when we're actually giving from that space. And it's normally giving from a place of obligation, have to, need to, should. I need to be the good girl, I need to be perfect, I need to be this, I need to be that, and it just messes up everything, and it creates this real enmeshment in relationships, which is really challenging then, because it's kind of like we're then blaming the other person for us feeling bad, they're generally blaming us, like, and it's like each person is projecting their own rules onto somebody else. Now, the trickiest thing with all of this is we don't even know what our own rules are, let alone knowing what somebody else's rules are. So the chances of us actually being able to meet those rules and expectations, unless you've had really great communication around that. But let's face it, like, we don't always feel great. We're not always going to be wanting to give that as well. So it's always, and this is the same, you know, other people won't always feel like that. Sometimes, you know, other people are in a bad mood, or they've had a hard day, or they're exhausted, they're tired, they're frustrated. Like, we're all human, but we can misread that and think, well, they don't love me, they don't care about me, they don't this, they don't that. Hey Solly, great to have you on. Hey Sal. So this can really present so many challenges, because when both people are projecting stuff onto the other person, and quite often, you know, we've been doing this for years, particularly in family relationships, and you know, there's a saying in the personal development world, if you can be yourself and be okay, like, around family, you've done a lot of work on yourself. I feel like super blessed. I did grow up in an amazing, very supportive, loving family, But you know, I've still got my stuff. And when we perceive some of the incidents that's happened or the events that's happened, remember that we're perceiving that stuff through the eyes of a 3-year-old or through the eyes of a 7-year-old or through the eyes of a 10-year-old. We haven't got the full perspective as to what's actually really going on. And this creates long-held hurts, long-held beliefs then about, you know, who we are and who we need to be. I know for a long time I felt like I needed to be perfect. I needed to be the one that always got the good grades, right? I felt like there was so much pressure, so much expectation placed on me. All of that was like actually internalized because it was a way that I felt like I'd got love met in the past as well. So our ego survival mind, it longs to fit in, it wants to belong, it wants to be accepted. So it's constantly, particularly from 0 to 7, constantly looking for all the ways of how we get love or how we get attention. Because of course, if we're not getting the love that we truly crave, any form of attention is better than none, right? Because the most painful thing for a human being is actually to be ignored or to be like invisible. It's the most painful experience that we can have as a human being, because it's kind of like we just don't even exist. So any attention obviously feels better than, so then we'll go into these behaviors, and quite often these can play out very unconsciously in our life for a very long time. Generally by the time that we're, hey Barry, great to have you on. Generally by the time that we are 30, 95% of our actions, of our behaviors, of our thinking processes are automatic, because this has come in just from habitual emotions and behaviors and ways of trying to get our needs met, but perhaps not in a resourceful way as well. Hey Deb, great to have you on, honey. So this is where really taking ownership of not only like our own beliefs and our own behaviors and our own actions, but it's also how are we attracting the results that we're currently getting in our relationships. Is it we're so used to being hurt by that person that we just expect it and therefore speak in an abrupt tone, or we're cold or withdrawn or we're distant from people because we're scared of what they're going to say. I know passive aggressive stuff was huge for me for a long time because I didn't feel like I could actually speak up and ask for what my needs were. So I just expected that I would be left out, or I just expected that, you know, people wouldn't acknowledge what it was that I needed. Hey Em, great to have you on. Hey Naomi. And this can be really painful as well, because, you know, it sets us up to experience that then, and then so that further reinforces that deeper belief, which then just continues the cycle. Then those hurts get deeper and deeper, and pretty soon, you know, we've created this reality that perhaps would not even be true if, you know, we'd done some of that inner work on ourselves. So we've always got to bring it back to ourselves. Self-love is key here. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and you know, I didn't know how to love myself until I was 31, 32. Like, that was when I actually went, oh my God, I have no clue on how to love myself. So that can be some of the most powerful work that you can ever do, because of course, when you're loving yourself, and I have a statement around this, when I love me, I set everyone free, because no longer am I grabbing at, no longer am I wanting stuff from other people. Yes, I can accept love. Yes, I can receive love, and generally with a much more open heart, because I'm not trying to control it. I'm not trying to condition it. I'm not trying to expect it to come to me from a certain way, because I've already taken that time to fill up my own bucket, to love and appreciate myself. And if somebody else is having a bad day, somebody else is having a tough day, I don't make it about me normally. Sometimes I still can. I can be quite human and go, oh, what's going on there? But I always take it back to doing the inner work. How did I attract that experience? What is it within me that continues to repeat this experience as well? Hey Linda, great to have you on. So I hope that's been helpful, guys. If you just jumped on, jump back to the start. I run through the Byron Katie questions. If you've not heard of Byron Katie before, jump on her website. It's just www.thework.com. To be honest, it's like I've spent over, you know, probably 180,000 over the years in personal development, tools, strategies, everything else. It's a free resource. It is just some of the most powerful work that I've ever done. I truly understand like the power, I think, because of like some of the other things that I've brought into it. right? And it will always bring you back to your heart and to your true center, as opposed to your ego mind, which is always wanting to guard itself. It's wanting to defend, it's wanting to criticize, it's wanting to blame. And this can be ourselves or others. The second we get into judgment, you know, that's a signal for you to let you know that you're in your ego mind. Now, your ego will either overinflate yourself, so it'll either make you like really great. So when we're comparing ourselves to others, or when we're judging others, it'll be like, well, and we get into that self-righteousness. I've definitely been there. Hey Christy, great to have you on. Or we underinflate. So I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be loved, nobody likes me, like all of that stuff as well. And you know, at the end of the day, we all have those symptoms of being human, because we're all human. So if that's going on, you know, there's no judgment around that. Certainly not from me anyway. You may be judging yourself for it, which we can, but to honor and respect your feelings as well. And I think too, like if you've been in situations as well where you don't feel good, or somebody has like is not a great energy to be around, like really genuinely honor and respect that in yourself. Honor and respect those boundaries for yourself, and question, you know, why is it that you need to keep putting yourself back into that environment? Is it that you're seeking their approval? Is it that, you know, you're fearful around that? And all of that can be true, and feel really true. And I would challenge you, or I'd invite you, challenge is probably not the right word, definitely invite you to do the Byron Katie work on that. Even just a simple statement of I feel scared or I feel anxious, you know, how do I feel with that thought? I feel worried, I feel anxious, I feel uptight, I feel stressed, I feel panicked, whatever's going on. How do I feel without that thought? Oh, I feel calmer. Like you just instantly feel calmer. This can also be a great tool if you're stressed around money at Christmas. Obviously that can be a huge thing for people. And you know, sometimes we can get hooked into the commercialization of Christmas. And we can try and buy like our worthiness through, you know, spending more on presents or trying to have the best like all of that stuff can definitely play out. I've definitely been there in the past as well. A lot more conscious of it. It probably still plays out on some level, but I'm definitely a lot more conscious of it these days. So just the more that you come back into your heart, love you, the more you can have those real authentic conversations, communicate effectively, have love and gratitude for the people in your life and for the gifts that they've actually given us as well. And when I say that, sometimes gifts come in ugly wrapping paper. So that can be a bit challenging as well, simply because we don't always get what we want. Sometimes we get what it is that we need. And by that I mean the biggest growth lessons and the way that has really helped me develop and become the person that I am today. And of course that's constantly evolving, but it's been through that adversity. It's been through being in the lowest and lowest of moments and trying to figure out, okay, what got me here? What's going to get me out of here? Where am I actually heading instead? And then, you know, really building those muscles of doing the inner work, doing the emotional work, starting to love and appreciate myself, starting to have the tough, honest conversations that are not easy to have in any way, and communicate much more effectively. Now, all of that was super, super challenging, and I had to have absolute courage in doing that and tuning into what was right for me, which of course is going to be different for, you know, everybody, and also for the people around us. And so if you've been used to being the doormat, or if you've been used to being the one that always gives in, or being used to the one that is the martyr, or and like I had like a lot of that self-victim and the martyrdom, like all of that kind of playing out, which was really challenging. Hey Liv, great to have you on. Hey Shell. But the more that you step and free yourself from that, and you're the only one that can actually free yourself from that by simply doing the inner work, having those conversations. A lot of the time it's so tough to have those conversations that we just go, oh, it's just easier just to do this. But it's actually not, because you're continuing to enable the behavior in the other person as well as enable that behavior in yourself. And when you're coming back to that remember that you're actually choosing to be the victim, or you're choosing to be the martyr. And I know that's tough words, because sometimes it's like, no, but this is the way that it's always been. But I can promise you it'll be, because we need that external acceptance, we need that external approval. And coming back to self-love, like I was wholly, solely externally validated, which meant like I didn't know how to validate myself. I didn't know how to love and appreciate and respect myself, or how to honor my feelings. I was so tuned in, because I'm so sensitive, I was so tuned into what was going on with everyone else. And I had a rule that I couldn't be happy unless everybody else was happy. Tough to be happy, I promise. And you know, you might relate to that as well. So the more that you can do the inner work, free yourself from needing other people's approval. Also, you'll give other people much more permission to just be where they are as well. And this is where sometimes those gifts appear in ugly wrapping paper, when we're massively triggered by somebody else's behavior. Perhaps somebody's been rude, perhaps somebody's been short with us, perhaps somebody hasn't appreciated what we've done, or you know, like all of those things. And that's where I always will do the turnaround with the Byron Katie work of they should appreciate me. How do I feel? Feel angry, resentful, blah blah blah. How do I feel without the thought? I feel calmer, more peaceful. And then I do the turnaround. I should appreciate me, or I should appreciate them. So the trigger is in doing the reflection work on yourself. And a lot of the time what I found for myself to be true is that it's a shadow side of myself that I don't like about myself. Therefore I judge it in me, therefore I judge it in others. And so this is where the most powerful work can come through, because when we can love and appreciate our shadow side, then our relationships externally will be a lot more harmonious as well, because it's very easy to love ourselves when we're being perfect, or we're being loving, or we're being kind. And you know, we're human, we don't always act that way. Where we can be reactive at times, we can be impatient, we can be spiteful, we can be angry, we can be upset, we can be reactive, like all of those things. So the more that we can love ourselves, genuinely love ourselves in those moments, and forgive ourselves, the more inclined we're able to be able to do that for other people as well. So anytime you're triggered by other people's behavior, that's where it's the gift in the ugly wrapping paper. But when we can reframe it and go, what did they just teach me, or what did they just share with me? What can I learn now about myself? That's where we can have true gratitude for all of our relationships, no matter how challenging they've been in the past. And I certainly can appreciate, you know, I've had my own super huge challenges, particularly in the area of intimate relationship, where you know, we can really hold on to long held hurts for a long time, and long held behaviors. And when we can flip this around, I promise you, you'll set yourself free. But the best part is that you'll no longer actually attract that in others, or you just will not notice that behavior anymore. So it's powerful, powerful, powerful work. But have an amazing day, guys. I hope that's been helpful. Hey Linda, great to have you on, hun. If you've just jumped on, jump back to the start, just to get the Byron Katie questions, or you can jump onto her website, www.thework.com, to grab those questions. And yeah, wanting to, obviously it's too early to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, but have a fabulous Friday. And hopefully that's been really helpful for you guys as well, just in terms of overcoming some of those deeper relationships, overcoming those triggers, and setting yourself free at the end of the day. Like, it really is about that self-love, self-appreciation, because and not from that ego point of view, from our true heart center and our soul, simply because that's going to be what sets you free and enables everybody else just to, you know, well, they're going to do what they're going to do anyway, you know, that's out of our control, but you're going to feel much less reactive to that as well, and much more kinder, centered, balanced within yourself, and being able to love and appreciate them exactly as they are, which of course is what we genuinely crave as human beings as well for ourselves. So lots of love to you all. Have an amazing day. Catch you guys later. Pop any questions that you have down there. If you are having massive challenges in your relationship and you do want some help with that, of course, always send me a PM. We can have a chat and see whether we're a good fit, and if and how I might be able to help you with that. So of course, that's always there. Or particularly if there's some money stress this time of year, obviously, you know, that can be a big thing as well. So we can have a chat about that and see if and how I might be able to help you with that as well. Okie doke. Have an amazing day. Lots of love. Bye.